Okay guys, here we go, new educational style video. Today I'm going to be covering how to stay lean year round, holding that lean physique that everyone wants but doesn't really know how to do. I don't think there's many people that do this. You see kind of bodybuilders go through phases of like cutting and gaining, obviously it's necessary for their goals, but there's not that many people that can kind of hold a lean physique, maybe between 8 and 12% body fat year round without having to make significant sacrifice, which obviously is not what I'm about. But if you're new to the channel, obviously we've been getting a fair few new subscribers over the last couple of months. I always think it's important to kind of provide that social proof before I start preaching about this sort of stuff. So who am I to tell you this? Who am I to tell you how to stay lean year round? So at this point, I've worked with hundreds of clients in person and online. My coaching brand, Athletic Aesthetic, helps people to improve their performance whilst building an athletic and functional physique. And obviously it comes with the territory. In order to do that, if you want to perform well, in endurance events, running, cycling, swimming, things like that, but you also want to progress in bodybuilding, then you're naturally going to hold kind of like a lean look year round if you are fueling correct, as long as you are fueling correctly for your workouts and for your physique goals. Staying lean year round is something that I do. I have managed to do for the last few years. I will say at this point it is not easy and you do need to put in a lot of effort. I think a lot of people would look at me and think that I find it very easy to stay lean year round. I honestly don't. I've been out of shape a few times. I find it, I can get out of shape quite quickly because I have a very high appetite. So yeah, it's hard, but it kind of keeps me on point. It makes me maintain high standards for myself in order to stay lean. So I choose to do that for my own personal goals. It's something I want to do. I do it to promote my brand. I have noticed a significant correlation. When I'm looking better, when I'm in better shape, we get more inquiries to the coaching business. So it's important from that side of things. I generally feel a lot more confident in myself and productive when I'm lean. And I think a lot of people can attest to that. I think everyone's going to be more confident if they perceive themselves and they think they look better. And in terms of productivity, I just find that if you are, maybe in a little bit of a deficit or close to maintenance, and in order to stay lean, you generally need to be making good nutritional decisions, which I'll get onto in a second. You need to be on top of your hydration, your sleep, and things like that. It just makes you feel a lot more productive, and the workload that you'll be able to achieve and the amount of work you'll be able to do will improve. So for me, it's perfect. And just to give a bit of an insight into the training that I do, so I hybrid train. I combine running and bodybuilding, not in the same training sessions, but I like to do my strength training and bodybuilding training 4 times a week, 4 to 5 times a week, and then I'll run 3 to 4 times a week as well. So that's the training that I do, and most of our clients do as well. So I thought I'd actually start with mindset, and I think a lot of people would have missed this one, but mindset literally underpins everything that I'm going to mention in this video. So you're not going to stay lean year round without the right mindset, unless you're very lucky. We all know that one person that just has a ridiculous metabolism, and regardless of how many times they go out per week, whether they take a week off the gym, they're just going to stay lean year round. But we're not talking to those sort of people. I'm not one of those people. I can go out of shape very quickly if I stop training and stop maintaining those high standards. So in order to kind of get lean and stay lean, you're going to need to make decisions, choices, and sacrifices in order to get there and to hold it. That's really, really important to understand. You need to actually, even if you may not be lean like right now, you need to identify someone who is lean and who wants to be lean and wants to be healthy year round. And you're going to need to make decisions based off what that person would. So, every time I'm making a decision, whether it's to order a takeaway if I'm tired and I can't be bothered to cook, maybe not to go and do my steps. Like, I never want to miss workouts. I love training, so I never really struggle with that. But you've got to think, would that person that I want to be, that I want to look like, do that? And that's how I kind of make a lot of my decisions now. Didn't used to do that when I was younger, but that's kind of how I, do things now. I think, when I'm prepping my own food, like, would that lean individual, that high performer eat like that? Yes or no? So mindset is so important. I think a lot of people miss that. Goals, I would definitely recommend setting goals. Now there's various different types of goals that you can set, and this is what we talk to a lot of our clients about when they come on board with us. So we generally recommend that people have a physique and a performance goal at all times. I've found that people get the best results when they do have that. Now obviously they're kind of broad terms, so a physique goal could be a shred, a fat loss phase, it could be a reverse diet after a fat loss phase, or it could be a lean gaining phase. Those are the 3 phases that we generally will start with our clients. generally someone coming on board, there's not many people that we would put straight into a gaining phase, and obviously you wouldn't put someone into a reverse dieting phase unless they diet it down. So I think a lot of people can benefit from getting lean first and then reversing out of that. So that's generally what we do. So that would be the physique side of things. And pretty much everyone that we coach comes to us with some sort of physique goal. It doesn't mean that, you need to they want to get inside out shredded, but it might just be like literally, a 25-year-old female that just wants to look a little bit better. They want to lose a bit of body fat. And then also we found as well that clients remain more motivated and adherent to the training program, and they get better results when they are also focusing on a performance goal at the same time as their physique goal, because they kind of fuel each other. So performance goal, that could simply just be progressing in strength in the gym on the main compound lifts. I mean, we recommend that everyone does that anyway. Or it could actually be an endurance goal as well. So it could be, running your first 5K. It could be entering a 10K race. It could be a half marathon, a marathon. We've got all sorts of people doing all sorts of things. For me personally, for example, I did a photo shoot, I think about 3 months now. So that for me, my physique goal was obviously a shred to lose body fat, but then I was also working towards PBing my half marathon at the same time. That's a performance goal. And then naturally, obviously, with, in order to hit that half marathon time, I was doing a lot of running. It meant my expenditure was higher. So it actually made it not easy, but easier to get lean because I was doing more throughout the week. And most of the clients we coach as well, they're going on maybe 2 holidays a year, so we've always got that in the diary, thinking of that as well. That can be like a nice medium term goal to be working towards, maybe an event, a wedding, a festival, a holiday or whatever. So we take all this into account. Like personally, I'm always trying to work towards something myself, whether that's just staying lean, or for example, I've got an event this weekend that I wanted to look good for. And then I've got a race in 3 weeks' time, and then I know that I'm going to have a race next year as well. So goals are really essential. You can definitely still stay lean year round without having these kind of medium-term goals, but I think setting them is better. Training. So obviously it goes without saying you're going to be needing to follow a structured training program, like committing to a certain amount of training sessions per week. I generally recommend between 3 and 5 strength training sessions a week, depending on how much endurance work you're doing alongside that. If you are doing it, you need to get into the mindset of just never missing a training session. Like you might miss a couple every couple of months, and that's fine. But if you go into a training program and a physique phase with the expectation of you missing training sessions, then you're going in with, again, just a complete wrong mindset. So non-negotiable attitude towards training is absolutely necessary. You'll need to adapt things. You might be traveling for work, you might need to train on different days, but you've got to get into the habit of, right, I'm committing to X amount of sessions every single week, and I'm going to do that. Like, I never ever miss training sessions. I will move them around if I need to. Usually the only thing that I'll move them around for would be travel. But I literally do the same training sessions on the same days of the week, and it's just completely like, I'm just on autopilot with it at this point. I don't even think about it. Consistent progressive overload and tracking of weight. So a lot of people, you see them go to the gym, they can't even remember what they did in the gym last week. Even if they're doing the same exercises, they can't remember how many reps they did and what weight they used. So you need to be consistently progressively overloading and tracking the weights, going for that extra rep, making sure that you are training at high intensity and pushing for that extra rep that most people just wouldn't do. If you compound that over time, it really will lead to superior results. And especially when you've got a few years of training under your belt. I've been training for 12 years and I need to be pushing for that extra rep, otherwise my physique is not going to change. Nutrition, I firmly believe that tracking is definitely necessary for most people in order to get lean, and just see it as kind of a learning experience. It doesn't mean that you need to track year round, but if you are wanting to get lean and stay lean, you need to be monitoring your nutrition. There's very few people that can intuitively eat and maintain, a body fat percentage of under 12% genuinely. So I think tracking is very, very useful, and it's something that I do year round. I have a good relationship with doing it. We have some clients on the program that do intuitively eat because they have had maybe previous eating disorders, or they have had a bad relationship with food in the past. That's different, but for most people, I would recommend tracking. It really doesn't take that much time. If you eat similar things each day, which I definitely recommend doing if you're wanting to get lean, because it just removes that mental fatigue of thinking of what to eat. You can actually save yourself a lot of time on these nutrition tracking apps by just copy and pasting the food along each day. That's what we recommend to our clients. You'll need to manipulate your macros to suit your goals. So for example, if you are combining strength training and endurance training, you might want to consider going higher, well, having more carbohydrates relative to the amounts of fats that you're having, just to make sure that you are truly fueled for the workouts you're doing, to make sure that your glycogen stores are replenished at all times after workouts. And you're going to have to consider, removing certain foods from your diet, not because they're bad foods, but, I love peanut butter and Nutella, but if I was eating that 3 times a day, I'm not going to be able to stay lean year round. So it's not about completely cutting them out. It's just about removing them and not frequently eating them, and just understanding what serves your goals. Saying no in certain situations, I think, is really important as well. I think a lot of people, when they eat out, they just think they need to have 3 courses just because that's what they do when they eat out. When sometimes, you can go out and have just a main course or a starter and a main, and make good decisions like opt for the poke bowl instead of the pizza and garlic bread. Like, sometimes you just need to make choices like that. It really does depend. But if you are, obviously the topic of this video is getting lean and staying lean, you're going to have to think differently to someone who is not wanting to be lean. It's as simple as that. And I think a lot of people sometimes just don't want to accept that. That doesn't mean don't have a balance. Like, I prefer personally to stay fairly disciplined through the week, eat very clean, and then on the weekend, I'll have a meal or 2 out and go a little bit higher on calories. But I've learned how to manage that over years. Fueling for performance as well. Like, if you're watching this, you probably are hybrid training or considering hybrid training. So you need to choose the right foods to fuel your performance. For example, with myself, I run 4 times a week. I'll usually run between 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning. If I have a massive dinner the night before, high in fat, really, really high in protein, it's going to mess up my digestion, and it's going to mean that my run was going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So just, making the right choices there, for example, the night before, if you are training in the morning, to fuel your performance is really important as well. Expenditure, so massively overlooked by a lot of people who are wanting to get lean and stay lean. Hitting a high step count goal consistently year round, not just doing a few days of really high steps and then not moving for the rest of the week, like actually maintaining that year round. You burn the most energy that you burn is, outside of the gym. It's away from your workouts. It's, me sitting here now, it's me walking to the shop later on, it's not in the gym. So just try and move more essentially, and you're going to raise your expenditure and burn more calories through the day. If you are wanting to, simply raising your step count by like 50% is such an easy way to lose body fat. But it's easier said than done when people are busy. So actually putting in the time to do this and scheduling that. Like, I like to try and go on, 3 short walks each day rather than going out and doing like 10 to 15,000 steps in one go. That's what works for me. And actually being organized and allocating that time to do that. And then lastly, like, batch tasks so that you're not literally just going and walking. Like, listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook. Like, for me, I respond to messages and send voice notes from clients when I'm walking. So it's like, I'm not just wasting my time. So I'd recommend doing that. And most people don't hit a high step count naturally. Like, I'm literally sitting on my desk and I'm going to be sitting here for the next 5 hours. I would not have a high step count unless I went out and did it. It was different when I was in the UK, when I was PTing. I was walking to the gym, I was walking around the gym. I used to maintain 12 to 15k steps a day pretty easily, but now I need to actually allocate that time and go and do those steps. Social life and events, obviously something that it does get in the way from people really getting in shape. And I will say that, on my coaching program, it's not about ruling out these things. This can be useful and effective for some people for a certain amount of time. Like, if they really are wanting to do like a short, sharp shred for a holiday, maybe not drinking for 2 months it's obviously going to make the whole process a lot easier. But for most people, it's like the aim of the coaching program is about improving their lifestyle and stuff. So completely ruling those things out, it doesn't really sit well with me. So, but yeah, most people could benefit from just being more selective. Like, you don't need to go and drink 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe limit it to once a week or once every 2 weeks. It's just going to make the process a whole lot easier. Especially that could go for, eating out and drinking. Like, you might have been used to going and eating out 4 or 5 times a week. Maybe just drop it down to 2. It's going to make it a lot easier to track your nutrition as well. Or if it's actually going out and drinking, just minimizing the quantity and the frequency of the amount of times that you consume alcohol is just going to make this whole thing a whole lot easier. Not only is alcohol just empty calories, but it has a significant, there's knock-on effects to your sleep and therefore your recovery, your motivation to train. It's going to reduce your testosterone. It's going to affect your performance in the gym and when you're running and things like that. So there's just no positive to A lot of people that we speak to on the program as well, like they'll get grief from maybe their partners, their friends when they join, because they are making the right decisions and drinking less and going out less. You know, if someone has a problem with you doing that, then it's more probably they've got a problem with themselves. So it's hard, but just try and kind of ignore what they're saying and just focus on what you're doing and focus on your mission, because this is the biggest killer of progress, is frequently drinking and not making the right choices. But yeah, I hope that was useful. Obviously, actually ended up being quite a long video, but if you are interested in coaching and you want us to help you get lean and stay lean, you can inquire through the link in my bio on my Instagram or below this video.